You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
Welcome back to another episode of Trending Fantasy. I'm your host, John Bauer. Find me on X at the Bauer Club. You know I'm joined by Mitch Sorensen at Dino MC. What's going on, Mitch?
What's going on, man? Dude, it's another week. By the time this recording is out, the Lions will have reported for training camp.
It's a big
That's
week
exciting.
today.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. So we do have some things we want to talk about tonight. And
Lions rookies. Lions rookies have. Someone will get in the comments. The Lions rookies will have reported.
I was ready to move on already, to be honest with you.
I know.
You know, get the pleasantries out of the way, the small talk. We don't have time for that. So, like I said, we do have some things we want to talk about. And I was thinking about a premise for tonight's show. And what else is there right now in terms of trending than the situation involving Quinshon Judkins? Tonight's episode is kind of looking at an aspect of that and kind of dealing with chaos. And there's always different aspects of chaos when you look at it from a dynasty fantasy football perspective, whether it's injuries, whether it's trades, whatever the case may be. There are always those things where there are buy and sell opportunities. There are quick changing values. So when it comes to a situation like Quinshon Judkins, and you look at it, and obviously there was he was arrested, the police report, you shared the updated information. Today is Monday. You shared it in the Discord. How do you view it? Like, this is not as a person.
Yes. How do I feel about this? Yeah.
But how do you feel about like gravitating towards assets where there are now uncertainty? And again, not that it needs to be said, but I just like to say in situations like this is in no way saying anything about what Quinshon Judkins has done off the field. This is strictly from a dynasty fantasy football perspective. Let's just make that very clear.
Right. One thing that I've noticed we've had players have incidences over the last few years to where people kind of assume their value has changed, and it really doesn't until something comes out. So with Quinshon, it was, hey, the news came out over the weekend, he was arrested. And like, if you went out to make a trade at that point, you weren't getting any discount because everyone's like, well, this happens, it blows over. So, then he got out. Then all of a sudden the police report dropped on Monday, and the police report, people can go read whatever you want, but that had some stuff in it to where that's going to change some people's minds now on if they want him on their team, if they're willing to move him at a discount, how they feel about these second round picks already holding out, and with him already having this issue. And so a lot of times, as soon as the news breaks, people are like, oh, it's a buy opportunity. It's really not. It has to be a buy opportunity when you have that other thing attached to it. Like Rashee Rice being in a high-speed crash is like, whatever. Well, Rashee Rice being a high-speed crash with injuries and he walked away. All right, that's going to change people's views. And that's kind of how Dynasty is now. For 5 years ago, it would have been, hey, this came out. People are going to start to sell him for less. They're going to drop his value, get him off their team. Now I think people are a lot more willing to hold on to him until something happened like that police report today.
And I think it's even further than that, because previously a lot of people, and maybe it's just because I've grown more patient whenever it comes to situations like this, but previously a report would come out and it could be something involving police. It could be something, maybe a rumor that is circulated, because there are crazy things that come out with all the social media at this point. But the first situation I go back in my head is Tyreek Hill a few years ago. I sold him off for very cheap, and ultimately nothing happened from an NFL and a dynasty perspective. So it's kind of weighing what we believe is going to happen, whether it's a suspension or not, and the dynasty impact that is going to have. And then there's the whole other side of the coin. And I know Dan is like this, like he doesn't want boneheads on his team.
Yeah. So he's just off. But that's a very, very slim minority, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, they look at this strictly from a dynasty fantasy perspective and what is the impact it's going to have. And we always say, and Mitch, you say it perfectly, anytime stuff like this comes up, if you don't want to roster a player, don't roster them.
Yep.
That's okay. If you don't want to go out and buy low on a player, don't do it. I'm looking at you, Deshaun Watson. You know, I remember these conversations we had when all the stuff came out with him. There was the suspension in what, 2022, and you were like, if you don't like him, if you don't want him, you don't have, like, nobody's putting a gun to your head.
You're not losing anything by not having that player. Yeah.
Well, and ultimately, it was best not to go out and acquire him. But I'm looking at all these different situations, and like, before we even get to that, do you think there's a suspension looming? And again, this is so preliminary, like it's so early in this whole process.
But this is the thing, is people are going to have to weigh whether they think it is or not. And I do think there's going to probably end up being something, just especially with the rookie coming in. It's not like it's an established vet that has 3 or 4 years in at this point. What I was going to hit on is,
well, I mean, really quick,
go ahead.
Look at what Kareem Hunt had done very early in his career.
Yep.
And then there was a video.
Yeah.
And he gets cut on his rookie contract.
Yeah, and so the video was the huge thing, because that was right after the Ray Rice video came out too. Like, we've had these things happen. Well, I'm going to say, as far as anyone evaluating these things off the field and evaluating if you want to have the player on your dynasty roster, just make sure they're good in the first place. So with the Tyreek Hill situation, his ceiling was at that time, and almost still is, was wide receiver 1 in the NFL, can be the best wide receiver on your fantasy team. So that's why I was okay. Like, the off the field stuff sucks. I'm willing to take that gamble because people were trading him for such a little value right there. Watson, like, people still wanted 3 firsts for Watson. And I'm like, why? Like, I'll just go get someone else for 3 firsts. Like, there's no reason for me to go out and get Watson at that point. And then it leads us to Judkins now. And, before this, he was probably worth let's just say a mid 26 first. Fair there. Before the police report came out, I sent out 30 trade offers trying to, like, a David Montgomery for him. I tried some Cam Scatabo and like a pick on top. And I got some counters, but every single one of the counters wanted like a higher value on Judkins than what happened before the incident even happened over the weekend. And so there was no discount there. And in my view, I want to make sure Judkins is worth that mid 26 first in the first place, right? I think the Browns offense call it hot take if you want. I don't think the offense is going to be good. I just don't.
It's a huge question mark.
The running game, I don't think it's going to be great. I think Dylan Sampson's going to have a role. I think Jerome Ford's going to have a role. And is he going to even give you value back at this point if this didn't happen? And he wasn't a rookie that I was going to say, yeah, there's a good chance to where his value is going to go up this offseason or during the season into next offseason. And so, like, I just don't see any reason to buy into him unless you are able to get him now for a mid-second or something like that, because I'm not paying any first for him. There is no chance. And even an early second, I really didn't want to do that anyways.
If I like my team and I have my 26 first lurking, I'm going to send that for Judkins.
See, really?
I am. I am because like, even if he gets suspended, like, the value bounces back. But again, you're kind of tying in a different aspect to it of, hey, is he going to be good in the first place? Like, forget about the suspension. So
he's a rookie. And so before his last game, like, I would have said 100% Henderson is better than Judkins. It's not really close. Like, in the pre-evaluation process for the rookies, I was like, it's Henderson and then it's Judkins. And then I think throughout the process, I kind of got with everybody else, like, oh no, they're about a tier the same. And now, like, even with him landing on that offense, I'm like, you know what? I have such little shares of him because I just liked everybody else better. I'm like, someone else can have Judkins. I don't need to buy into that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about where Judkins was going in rookie drafts, and it was
Mhm.
for the most part in 12-team Superflex tight end premium leagues. It was middle of the first, and I'm thinking, what would you have been able to move in terms of 26 picks if you were going to move Judkins at that point in time? You could have gotten probably a 26 first, a 26 second plus.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
And that's kind of like what we're looking at here in the Discord. And this is why the Discord community over at DD Fantasy Football is so incredible, because we bounce these ideas off of each other. And oftentimes it's like, okay, I'm definitely too low on a player. I'm too high on a player. Maybe the community sentiment is a little bit different. And I need to not maybe just tweak the way I look at it, but if I'm going to go out to the market, I need to keep this in my mind, because I could be getting a better deal maybe than I thought I would. But when you look at like the trades that we're seeing in the polls that people are posting, somebody posted a 26 first and Cam Scadaboo for Judkins. They said, would you do this? And this is before the stuff came out on Monday with the additional information. And I said, I want more clarity here. I'm going to be a little more patient in terms of going out and acquiring Judkins, unless I can get it. Like I perceive sending what I think is a late 26 first for Judkins straight up. I think that's a discount. Personally.
Oh, it is a discount. It is. Yes.
And if the ask is now that 26 first in a Cam Scadaboo type, then how much of a discount are you really getting compared to what that price was before all this came out? So if that's the baseline, if that's the price I need to pay right now, I'll add a second later once we have more clarity. Like if there's no suspension, or he's suspended for 3 games, I'm looking at kind of the Alvin Kamara situation, even though he beat the shit out of someone in Vegas. So that was a little bit different, but like, I pulled a list today. I went over to Grok and I put in who are fantasy relevant NFL players that have been suspended over the last few years. I kept it very vague. And like, I know with the prompts you give it, you need to kind of drill down and be a little bit more specific and be better at what you're asking. But some of the names like Alvin Kamara, I was like, I forgot about that. But Calvin Ridley, the suspension for the gambling, Deshaun Watson, obviously, DeAndre Hopkins, 6 games for PED, Jameson Williams gambling, Alvin Kamara, the Vegas situation. It said Jonnu Smith, and I was like, wait a minute. And it says no suspension reported, but noted for fantasy relevance in 2025. I'm like, what?
Okay. All right.
That did not. They threw a defensive lineman on the list. Jimmy Garoppolo, 2 games, Zay Jones, 5 games, and then Justin Tucker. But really, like, besides some of the names on the list, we don't see that many fantasy relevant longer term suspensions.
That's the thing. It doesn't happen. The only reason why I think it could happen is
we're waiting on Jordan Addison and Rashee Rice at this point too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and it's been 2 years. It's like, I don't think either of them are going to end up being suspended, to be honest. And if they do, knowing the NFL, knowing the teams they're on, they will work it into the schedule to where, like, oh, look, they're not playing anybody, because that's just what the NFL will do. But I was going to ask you.
1 year on Rice and Addison.
Yeah.
1 year, not 2 years.
What? I thought it was before. Well, it was before. So I'm counting. We're going into the second season is how I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. My life revolves around NFL seasons, not actual like dates on the calendar.
I get it.
So before you were always more than willing to move these guys, and it looks like you're more kind of okay buying into Quinshon. And this has nothing to do with off the field, like we said before. Well, what's the change? Because before you were more willing to, like, Tyreek, you were like, he is off my teams. And with Watson, I think you were more than willing to move him off your teams. And so, like, with Judkins seems like a little more, you're more willing to buy if there's any discount.
Yeah, the Watson situation was a weird one because it was just such a long-term mess.
It was long. Yeah, without a doubt.
This other stuff, though, I'm not anticipating, again, putting my lawyer hat on, me and my law degree. But like, I know we can overreact a lot as a dynasty community.
Yep.
And we try to get out ahead of things. And, one thing I've done, I've kind of geared the other way, and I've been less patient with more serious injuries, like some of them backfire, but you saw some of the moves that I made involving Chris Godwin last year, right? But then if you look at other positions like a J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, that went the other way. So anyway, but that's injuries. With this, I don't think it's a long-term impact.
Right.
And I was burned so badly on the Tyreek Hill situation.
It was like 5 years ago.
So like you said, and it's always price dependent. We all know
It
that.
is.
But if I'm able to go out and if there is a material difference between what I have to pay today versus what I would pay if there was no suspension involving this player. So let's say everything comes out, nothing happens. Tyreek Hill, didn't he have another situation last year or 2 years ago, and nothing happened with it?
No, nothing.
Right. So, and again, every situation is different, and you never want to make light of any of these situations. But again, looking at it strictly from a dynasty perspective, I just, the NFL is so fickle with how it goes through and does all this stuff. Like, ultimately, none of us know what these suspensions are going to look like, if there's going to be a suspension. But if you liked Quinshon Judkins, the player, and you had him at that 2025 106 and you're still okay, like that was your baseline, and you can get him for something less than that now, and it's a material difference. Like, somebody got him for Cam Scatterboon in 26 second.
I saw that. That's a good trade.
That was posted. That's a bet I'm willing to make, because you're not, I don't think you're losing potentially extremely high ceiling in that package.
Yeah, it's hard, because the more I think about it, the more I kind of want to send out some offers, but at the same time, that Scatteraboo for and a second is so hard to come by.
Yeah,
because the counters I was getting was like, it wasn't remotely close to what Quinshon's actual value was, like I said, prior to it. And so if you're looking at it, what I'll tell everybody is, if you're looking into it, send out a lot, start small. I would start with like a DeAndre Swift plus someone that's an immediate contributor, just because someone's going to look to replace, points in their lineup early in the season. That's kind of the only reason why they'll be wanting to move off of him in the first place.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I think roster construction, the league dynamic, who has him. We always talk about the team makeup of the whoever has a certain player. If you have a Quinshon Judkins, maybe you have a strong running back room and you just took the upside in terms of a longer term back option, but probably maybe you were looking to slot him into a flex spot, and now that might not be possible early in the season. And again, like, there's so little information right now. And if the report that came out today, like, obviously that's what's being said. And if he did all that stuff, I mean, F him. I mean, I'm just, for Dan, I'll keep it. I'll keep
really?
I'll keep it PG-13 there. But yeah, that's trash. Absolute trash. But from a dynasty perspective, we still got, you got to talk about it, because I guarantee you, when you look at dynastydaddy.com in a week, he's going to be one of the biggest bubbles.
He will. And I mean, it's the talk in all of my leagues too. Like, I see him go on the block, or people are or Dylan Sampson is on the
Ford.
Block. Are you like, I'm not, so going over that situation just while we're here, I'm not going out to get any Jerome Ford. Like, I don't care. I didn't want him on my team before this happened. I really don't care to have him on my team now. Dylan Sampson was already a third. Am I going to go move a 26 second for him? No, probably not. And so, like, my value on him is the same as it was. Like, if you really want to, maybe you could do like a 23 third and a 23, or sorry, 23, a 26 third and a 26 fourth. Maybe adding that fourth on, maybe that helps you get him. But I don't see a huge reason to go out and get either of those two backs, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a situation where it is, potential discount on a top tier player. Like, we all like Quinshon Judkins as a dynasty asset, being a running back, but like, it's not like, Jamar Chase went out and had an injury, and it's like, okay, now there's an opportunity to buy low, but he is an elite asset. Like,
if you good, that's the thing.
If you don't trade for Quinshon Judkins, I mean, how much does a player like Judkins really move the needle?
I was
not much.
I could be wrong, but I was looking at Mike Clay, and I think he had him like running back 26 on the season or something like that. Maybe it was 24, but
but even if he's like
nothing.
If he's running back 15 next year and running back 18 the next year and running back 12 the following year, like
it's replaceable production.
Yeah, it's I don't think it's that important. So again, this is probably one of the situations that it is a little bit easier. You asked me why I've changed. It's a little bit easier to just sit and wait and see how it plays out because it is kind of that middle tier asset who we're hoping is going to be good. It isn't that Tyreek Hill ceiling. It isn't that Deshaun Watson value at that time whenever all that stuff happened. It isn't, maybe from a production standpoint, like a Sam Laporta, you think bounces back and becomes an elite tight end option in 2025 and beyond, whatever the case may be like. So I think the conversation itself is interesting because there are so many different ways you can look at this. And when we talk about dealing with chaos and the potential for a legal situation. Obviously he was arrested already, potential for a suspension. It's going to be an interesting situation, but it wouldn't be the NFL offseason without these guys doing asinine things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it really sums it up. I was just going to say, hey, shout out to everybody that was in the Heisman voice chat in the Discord today. It was going on literally all day long. I popped in as much as I could throughout the workday, but it was just really cool to see everybody in there. So if you're not in the Discord and you're missing out on these conversations, ddfantasy.com, I think Code Theory, I think that's still a thing. Use Code Theory, get in there for a discount, and then just get in the chat because this is what you're talking about all day long. So you don't have to like go through a whole bunch of different podcasts trying to find something. You can just hop in the Discord and figure out what everyone's talking about there.
Yeah, for sure. Any breaking news, any things that have fantasy or dynasty implications surrounding it that is being talked about, whether it's the voice chat, whether it's the text chat, whatever, conversations going 24/7. So ddfantasyfootball.com, check it out. Use Code Theory. It's still a thing. Get 50% off your first month. Get my cross-positional tiers, the War Machine, the Trinity Tool, the Discord community. So much just goodness there when you look at the fantasy and dynasty community. And make sure you hit like on the episode. Subscribe to the channel. It helps us out. So let us know in the comments if there's anything you want us to talk about moving forward on an upcoming episode of Trending Fantasy. For Mitch Sorensen, I'm John Bauer. We'll catch everybody next week. Peace.